Podcast, your podcast that empowers leaders with practical tools, both inspiration and strategies on learning, leadership, coaching, and personal growth that helps you thrive in the workplace and in life. I am your host, Dr. Maurine Kwende. I help leaders and organizations become leaders people want to work for. And I do this through my executive coaching programs, leadership coaching, speaking, facilitation. I'm an author, an educator, a learning leader, and I'm a CEO and founder of EMK Learning Solutions. And I'll be glad to support you or just chat on any of these topics that interest you. So every month we pick a theme. Last month's theme was Leading Well, the Mindful Leader Superpower. This month we're actually making a pivot from that. And we know we're almost officially at the fall, right? So the theme of this month is Fall Forward, a reset with intention for a strategic 2026 harvest. So this theme is very, very intentional. Why? Because as we know, summer's running up and we're going to be in the fall. We're actually already experiencing a lovely weather at this time. I love the fall. I love the spring. Those are my favorite times of the year. So I'm hoping that wherever you're joining or you're listening from, you're enjoying the weather as well, right? I know I have some listeners who are joining international. I have some global listeners as well. So I hope you're doing well, and thank you for tuning in to this first episode for the month of September. So today we're going to be talking about reset. Okay. So this episode is really designed to help leaders to see the end of the year not as a finish line, but as an opportunity, a time for them to pause, reflect, recalibrate for greater success. You know, I've noticed that so many times leaders enter the last quarter of the year with the finish line mindset, as in there's just too much pressure to meet targets, to close projects, right? To leading to a final push. And nothing against that, right? But what we have to pay attention to is the long hours, intense deadlines, and non-stop hustle that can affect our health, right? So instead of looking at it from the perspective of, I'm going to do whatever it takes, but still working hard, but still be able to allocate time so you're not kind of like running on fumes, stumbling into a new year so exhausted and starting the year burnout. You know, I worked with a client earlier on in January this year, and one of her challenges was she was burnt out, and that was the second week of January. Right? You're thinking the year just started, so where is this coming from? Right? So you can tell that she's just been putting her foot on the pedal for the previous year, like I need to finish, to the extent that it was actually getting in the way of her being productive. So instead of looking at it from that perspective, an alternative is the power of pause. Right? Many times athletes call it timeout. Or we even tell our kids like time out. I tell my 10-year-old, it's time out. And so we're familiar with using that phrase, time out, mostly to regroup or giving themselves permission to step back. So I'd like you to still embrace the timeout, right? Putting the timeout in your own life, to take that pause. Many times people think being able to take a pause is a weakness. It's not. It's really wisdom. It creates clarity amid chaos and giving you and your team the space to think, reflect, recalibrate. So fall is really the perfect time to do that, even though you want to do that, every time, many times in the year. But fall is a perfect time for me. I look at it as my second new year. I don't have to wait till January to start planning my 2026. I want to start planning early, and that time of the year for me is September. What about you? Fall is also a great time to hit the reset. Nature itself is transitioning, right? You see the leaves falling. It's just reminding us to let go, slow down, and prepare for that new renewal, which is part of growth. So when leaders embrace this rhythm, they move from autopilot to intentional leadership, So I would like you to think about how you close your year in 2024. Right? What are some habits? What are some I want to call it, what are some of those um, patterns that you can identify? Right? What are some things that you want to make a change? What are some areas? So you want to take this moment of the year, this fall period, to recalibrate. And you want to start with pause. And I call it pause with purpose. Intentionally block the time out of your schedule. Use this pause the way you want to use it, as in maybe you want to breathe, of course, think, create that space from the chaos of daily tasks. Once you stop running on autopilot, this brings clarity for you. So allocate that time. Maybe you want to put some time on your calendar this week, if you've not thought about it. Next week, in this month of September, as soon as possible, just take that pause. It could be a mental pause, right? Just take some time, put some time out for your own self. Take that time and reflect and review. Ask yourself, what's the past 9 months been like? And be honest. What worked? What did not work? What lessons can you carry forward? What are some things that you want to repeat? What are some things that you want to delete? And when it comes to your work, how can you apply that with your team as well? So you can both, as a group, gather collective insights and look for ways to move forward with intention. Like many leaders, I do conduct my own personal audit. I take time to do my own audit, like I look inwards, asking myself, how have I been spending my time, my energy, my attention, right? I want to ask myself, are my current priorities aligned with my vision for 2026? What are some habits that I can identify, or routines or patterns that could keep you busy but are not effective? What can you do to break that business culture and shift and start looking for a more agile culture? You want to decide what is it that no longer serves you and start working towards that strategic release. It could be projects, it could be commitments, it could be mindset, it could be relationships, it could be tasks, whatsoever that no longer serves you. This is a good time to have that strategic release. You want to think about it like shedding leaves. Or maybe, like, even though it might sound scary, like even the snake actually sheds your skin. Whatsoever shedding looks like for you, right? It is necessary for new growth to occur. You got to make room for the new things to happen, right? And so then up next is being able to realign with intention. Reset your compass by reconnecting with your vision. What's your vision? What's your mission? What are your values? In what ways have you compromised your values this year? What are some things that you can do to be realigned and make sure that you're being authentic? You can live an authentic life as a leader. So why are you expecting others to live authentically? Is that what you're modeling? Right. Take some time and clarify your top 3 priorities that matters the most to you for the last quarter of the year and beyond. Ensure that you and your team know what the true north is. Start now planting new seeds. Identify some of those areas, maybe 1 and 2 new practices, projects, or partnerships that you can invest on right now. These are all part of your seeds for 2026. They're going to enable you to reap that harvest. Not just identifying those seeds, but finding ways that you can nurture them with focus and consistency. Perhaps the last step that I want to talk about tonight is that of anchoring. You want to be able to translate the reflection into action by taking one small step daily or immediately. Anchor your reset by scheduling check-ins, maybe with your team, with your close friends, right? And stay accountable. Whatever is clouding your mind, you want to free your mind by empowering someone else with a project, maybe, that matches their strengths. That could help you free your mind. Your mind, right? You could also check in with a mentor or peer or coach like me or anyone else. Have that connection. It allows for fresh perspectives, which sparks clarity you cannot maybe immediately think of or even when you're alone. These actions can transform leadership from survival mode to intentional growth mode. So here's a challenge I have for you this week. Take 30 minutes, just 30 minutes, and take that leadership pause. Take a break, take a pause, block it off on your calendar, set a reminder on your phone, and say to yourself, no emails, no meetings, no distractions, none of that. Use that time to reflect. I can give you 2 questions to guide you in that reflection process. The first question is, what do I need to release this fall? And next, what new practice or priority will I embrace to prepare for Q4 and 2026? Clarity doesn't just come from doing more, it comes from pausing long enough to see the path forward. So that's it for this week's podcast. Remember, Fall Forward isn't about perfection, it's about intention. The power of pause gives you clarity and chaos, space to reflect, and freedom from autopilot leadership. I want to thank you for joining me for today's episode of the Empowerment Minutes podcast. If this resonated with you, I'd like you to share it with your leader, another of the peer, who could use a reminder to pause and reflect. And remember, the seeds you plant today will determine the harvest you reap tomorrow. So lead with intention. And your 2025 ending and 2026 harvest will be both strategic and fruitful. Thank you so much. Until next time, same time next week.